Hello, Ducks fans. Welcome back to another episode of the Quack Report. Thank you very much for tuning in today. My name is Nate Thomas. I will be your host today. Carter's not with me, unfortunately, today. He just has some personal stuff to attend to. So you're stuck with me for at least the first little bit of this show. Um, we've kind of talked before, Carter and I, of how I'm definitely more the bounce off kind of guy, so this will definitely be a little bit interesting for me. But please stick with me here. I'm gonna be talking to you guys about the Seattle Kraken game from Friday. And then I'm going to have Audie James from the Barn Burner Hockey Podcast join me to talk the upcoming game against the Calgary Flames and just some other stuff going around the NHL. We'll play a little bit of a word association game and just have a good time, I think. So on this, we're recording on Sunday, obviously, with the episode being out Monday. So, I guess we don't really have the normal kind of banter back and forth with Carter and I. Let's just get right into this game here. The Ducks playing the Kraken on Friday night. Unfortunately, losing this game 4-3 was the final score for the Kraken. Jordan Eberle tucking in that final goal with 18 into the third period there with about less than 2 minutes left. It's not the first time we've had that happen to us, unfortunately, and it would have been nice to, take the game to overtime. But at this point, we're currently sitting as of Sunday, the second wild card position in the Western standings there. Just pulling it up here. Vegas sitting in first place with 59 points. Calgary now sitting in second with 58, with 45 games played, which is 4 more in hand than we have. With the LA Kings sitting in third spot there with 55 points, the same as us, but they have 2 games in hand. St. Louis has that first wild card spot with 46 games played, 3 games in hand to the Ducks, and 59 points. So we're looking at a bit of an uphill battle here, especially with the Dallas Stars and the Edmonton Oilers just hot on the heels for that wild card spot. Dallas with 45 games played and 52 points. So we'll have to see what happens there. And same with the Oilers, played 45 games and have 51 points. So this Ducks team is really going to have to, put the hike up the suspenders, however you want to, whatever analogy you want to use or that sort of thing. And they really got to start playing some hockey and getting, those 2 points as often as they can. So they really got to pick it up here. But we did see a lot of good things, I think, in this game. One of them obviously being Isaac Lundestrom. He's been doing very well, I think, actually on that third line. He's still been able to contribute in a not necessarily a third line way, I feel like. I've really enjoyed having him on that third line. Just it gives it a little bit more depth, I find. And just, the line of him, Grant, and Silverberg. I know a lot of people on Friday were kind of harping on Derek Grant, and, I definitely see the reasons for it and whatnot. Taking a look at the advanced stats, and I'm going to try to simplify things because some of the advanced stats stuff I'm still learning myself, but I know enough of it at least. That line of Lundestrom, Silverberg, and Grant had 16 attempted shots on net, which was tied for first for that game for Ducks lines. That other line was Getzlaf, Terry, and Henrique, which, is your starting lineup, your first line there. So 9 of those 16 attempted shots by that third there being on net, and one of them actually going in. So that line is and Lundestrom especially were really going that night. I'm just pulling up Lundestrom's stats from the night, obviously the 2 goals. And where is it here? We got 2 goals on the night for him. Was a +2, and he only had the 2 shots on net. So he had a 100% shooting percentage there for that game, and he did all right, I think, on the faceoffs as well. It's maybe not the numbers that you're looking at, but I don't think really anybody did besides Adam Henrique and Ryan Getzlaf really there. Isaac Lundestrom, 41.2% on the faceoff dot there with just under 16 minutes of time on ice for that game. Ryan Getzlaf leading the team for faceoffs that night at 53.3%, with 20 minutes and 28 seconds on the ice there. I mentioned Adam Henry because he has 100% on the faceoff, but I think he only took the 1 draw, if I'm not mistaken. So But yeah, so there was definitely some good things to look at there with Isaac Lundstrom in that third line, just really trying to carry this team as much as they could. Positives there, and I'm trying to give all these positives because I'm not trying to be negative later on, but there's definitely going to be a couple things where it's kind of the things that cost us the game or that. Um, yeah, this team did all right with the penalties as well. They're overbloated because there was that fight of Nick Delorier, and I forget who he was going against. I think it was Johnson. If I'm or no, I'm thinking of a different thing. So 11 minutes for either side, and um, but we were losing face-offs. Face-off percentage was 55 to 44. That's not exactly what you want to be seeing, and you're not going to really be controlling the puck a whole lot if you're missing out on those chances. So, and if I'm remembering correctly as well from the ESPN broadcast, they were talking about how the Ducks only had one shot in the last 13 minutes of the game. That's not what you want to be seeing, obviously. And it's kind of what I've talked before, that there's some bad habits I feel like from the last couple of years creeping back into this Ducks team and their game, and you got to squash those as soon as possible, right? You want the shots on net. I was happy with the shots that we had and everything like that, and but I feel like the offensive game was just honestly kind of average, and I think the numbers show it as well. So, but just we had a hard time maybe a little bit defensively. Um, Ryan Donato having 5 shots on net, 2 of those being goals. And it really doesn't look good when especially when you're looking at some of the additional, like the underlying numbers and that sort of thing, where he only had a 0.15 expected goals in all situations and scoring 2 goals. That's not really what you want to see. Um and I believe part of that had to do with John Gibson himself. I don't know if it's he's still hungover from partying in Vegas or that sort of thing, but and I mean, if you listen to the show before, there's we love Gibson here, right? And I think all Anaheim fans can attest to that. Is that we all love Gibson, right? He's been a fantastic goalie for us for years. Every now and then you have the rough game, and it comes with the territory, and I think that's for every player as well. This game though against Seattle was the one where if he just played even a little bit better, we could have had this. Taking a look over at moneypuck.com, this game is a Ducks win. They've simulated 78.1% of the time out of 1,000 simulations. So um, not to kind of pin it onto one guy, but John Gibson was just not on it for this game. Taking a look here at some of his stats there, where like this is kind of one of those cases where the stats and the eye test do line up, and show both the same thing, that he didn't unfortunately have a that great of a game. Gibson's expected goals against, so just taking into account the types of shots that were coming in, how high danger or that sort of thing, kind of the chance on them. Expected was supposed to be 1.49, so less than 2 goals a game, right? So if obviously you can't have in real life you can't have a half goal, right? So expected for 1 goal against, and he had 4 there. So for the negative 2.5 on the goal save above expected, that's not what you want to be seeing. Hopefully it is just a one-off. I feel pretty confident to say that it should just be a one-off. We've seen way better from Gibson, just this wasn't his night, but unfortunately it did cost the team. Taking a look at just even like the shots that the Kraken had, and especially the ones that went. This is a great opportunity as well if you're watching to be watching us on YouTube or Twitch when we're streaming these as well, so you can see these visuals that we bring up every now and then. And yeah, so here we'll bring it up here. So we got this is again from moneypuck.com. We're gonna zoom in here on the Seattle Seattle end where the Ducks have were shooting there. You have a 3.5 chance of scoring from the Zarnik goal. We'll go to the high slot there, which is a 6.1% chance. That was one of the Donato goals in the second period there. Got another one, 7% chance. That was just on the right side of Gibson. That was that Jordan Eberle goal that gave them the lead and consequently the win as well. Then you go even a little bit farther to the bottom of the circle there, and you had a 3.2% chance of scoring. for Yanni Gord there in that case. That's just not something that you want to be seeing, like those low danger shots and chances going in the net. When you can't, like when you, in this case, consistently have those going in, it's going to be hard to crawl back from that. And I realize I kind of just backed out of it, but for the visuals at least. But the Ducks, man, they were swarming the net, had great chances. All three of their goals coming at in high danger chances of like 23.2%, 30% chances, right? Like those are the ones that you want. Those are the ones that you expect to go in, not back in the other end where you have 7% at most. That's not what you want to be seeing. So hopefully this can get turned around, I think, for the next game. And hopefully just a little bit of the Vegas All-Star hangover, right? So this is obviously not the John Gibson we're used to watching. And here, just once we're done wrapping up talking about this game. Like I said, I'm trying not to be too negative to this because I think the rest of it was really good. Just I feel bad for blaming one guy, but man, you look at the numbers and Gibson did not help whatsoever with all four of those goals being considered low danger attempts. When you're looking at advanced stats, if this is something you're wanting to get into as well, you have your low danger, your medium, and your high danger chances, right? And all of these attempts that went in were low danger chances, right? Those are not ones that you should be having go in and that sort of thing, at least as often as they did in this game, the 4 times, right? So one more thing here that I had about this game, and you can also let me know what you thought about this game, unless you just want to move on from it, which I totally understand. You can let me know at Quack Report Pod on Twitter. Remember, I run that social media account for us here at TQR. I love the engagement and everything like that. So you can shoot a DM. You can just tweet at us. It doesn't necessarily have to be about this game or that. And you can also leave a comment in the comments there on YouTube. We do go through those. We do reply to as many as we can and that sort of thing. So be sure to interact with us over there and like and subscribe while you're there. And if you're just listening to us on your podcast right now, be sure to give us a 5-star review. So the last thing I wanted to talk about in this game before we'll head to a quick break there and bring on Audie. Man, just in the third period there, the Zegras and Dunn thing. Zegras, okay, I'm removing the rose-colored glasses and I'm doing my best here, especially being a ref myself for so many years. Zegras did deserve, I'll say, 2 minutes. That was warranted and that was correct. However, the Vince Dunn / looking like Paul Bunyan out there with like the full body rotation to hack the back of Zegras' leg. I even showed this to my girlfriend who is a hockey fan, but obviously not in kind of the same level as you or I, who are listening to these podcasts. They're just heavily invested in the sport, let alone a team or that sort of thing. I just asked for her, blind opinion and that sort of thing of, okay, does this look like this guy's actually trying to hurt him, or is this kind of getting blown out of proportion? And she says that looked more like Vince Dunn was trying to hurt Zegras, right? It just got too under his skin and he just went for it pretty much. I did pull up the rule as well for attempt to injure is what a lot of people, including myself, think that should have been called, honestly. Rule 43 in the NHL rule book. You can find this all on the NHL website as well. So a match penalty shall be imposed on any player who deliberately attempts or who deliberately injures an opponent. The circumstances shall be reported to the commissioner for further action. A substitute for the penalized player shall be permitted at the end of the 5th minute. A match penalty can be assessed for the following infractions, yada, yada, yada. It goes down. Slashing is in there, slashing is Rule 85 in the NHL rule book. And yeah, it's a match penalty, right? I believe that Dunn should have gotten a higher penalty than he actually got. I understand from the ref's perspective, you're just trying to get them both out of the situation and whatnot, but then you're throwing them in a penalty box for the 2 minutes, and they're just, like, as we saw in the broadcast, they're just gonna bark at each other the entire time and go at each other. And luckily, nothing else came out of it because I'm not that I don't have confidence in Trevor Zegras, but I don't think Zegras is necessarily a fighter, right? He's a little bit more. He is our star player. He's our guy who his job is to go out and score to make plays, to get assists, and that sort of thing. And well, not necessarily. So his job is out there to amaze all of us with his beautiful stick handling and stuff like that, right? He's not the guy that we call in to fight. That's Nick Delorier, who did his job earlier in the game as well. So, but yeah, that's just my opinion on it. Let me know as well in the comments if you're on YouTube, or tweet at us what you thought the consequence should have been for Vince Dunn. Was the 2 minute okay, and I maybe still have the rose colored glasses on, or should it have been more, right? Should it have been a match penalty? I wouldn't go as far to say like suspension or fine worthy by any means, but there definitely should have been, I think, a bit more punishment in the game itself. So you guys can let me know what you think about that. Now, I'm sure, you're normally used to hearing me talk for long spurts on a regular episode. I'm sure it's a little bit more right now with Carter not being here to kind of interject in the middle of me or that sort of thing. So I'm going to give you guys a bit of a break here. We're going to hear from our buddies over at DraftKings. And on the other side, again, I'm going to have Audie James on with me here talking Ducks versus Flames coming up on Wednesday. Latest offer from DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, is too good to pass up. I'm talking between the legs 360 windmill good. New customers can bet just $1 on any team and get $150 in free bets if they win. It's that simple. If Sportsbook isn't available to play in your state yet, don't worry about it. You can still take your shot at a big payday. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Basketball Contest. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. So, what are you waiting for? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now, use the promo code THPN, bet just $1 on any NBA team, and get $150 in free bets if they win. It's that simple. Again, that's promo code THPN, as in the Hockey Podcast Network, only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Must be 21 or older. Minimum age and location requirements vary by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for full list of requirements and state-specific responsible gaming resources. Void where prohibited. Minimum $5 deposit. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Tennessee, call or text the TN Red Line 1-800-889-9789. In Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369.
All right, and we are back, and I am pleased to now be joined by the other half of the hockey of the Barn Burner Hockey Podcast. We had his co-host James Johnson on earlier in the year. I think it was before the Flames home opener, like right at the start of the season there. Pleased to welcome onto the show Audie James. Audie, thanks for joining me like last minute, pretty much, bud.
Of course, dude. Hey, I've always got time for you.
I feel touched.
You should. I've always got time for you, and I gotta say, man, yeah, I know you're you do your pre-recorded ad reads, and that's cool. But maybe one day you'll get on my level and do the live ones. I don't know if you heard the one with Flash, but it was our most recent episode, and I was like, it was the perfect opportunity. Like Flash literally brought up the Super Bowl, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God. I was gonna transition right into it, but I had to say, like, I stopped and appreciated the moment. I'm like,
You had
Flash,
to acknowledge it. Yeah, it was good.
every single time I do a live ad read, I wait for the perfect opportunity, and you just set it up for me. So thank you. And with that, and then I went into it. But yeah, no, it's you did great, buddy. You did great. You'll get to the live ad reads one day pretty soon. I'll help you out with that one.
I did start with the live stuff, and then I realized, hey, my first degree is in audio engineering and that kind of stuff. I'm like, I can literally hash this out in 10 minutes and have it ready to go and like make it sound nice instead of like potentially fumbling over my words or something like that. So
yeah, that
I'm
was
like,
my
it's
thing.
just easier for me at this point. So
I was like,
and I can make it sound, make it sound good.
We could edit it, or we could just say screw it and go right for the live ad read. It's fun. It's fun. It makes it a little more challenging and more let my creativity juices flow, if you will.
Yeah, it's fair. And I think we were talking about it on the episode that Carter and I were on with you guys on the Barn Burner Hockey Podcast there. of it's normally me just running my mouth for a little while and then Carter going, okay, Nate needs a break, here's an ad. So yeah,
Yeah.
it gives me a break. It's like depending on how long the DraftKings thing is for the week, right? It could be like a minute and a half, which like you can just kind of chill out for a second, have a
Yeah. Oh
drink, or
yeah. Have a
check up
drink,
on
catch your
Twitter quick or
breath.
something. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's been a little bit more interesting this episode with not having Carter around, that it's literally just me talking the entire time. And I feel bad for our listeners that you don't have that breakup of Carter's soothing voice. So, but once again, he will be back on Wednesday. So, and I'll be very excited for that day to come back.
We
I'm
all will.
I'm not. I hope everybody's
No
enjoying the episode
disrespect.
so far. I hope everybody's enjoying the episode so far, because like you'd think with how much I talk, it would be easy for me just to continue to talk on my own. But like I was having to fill my outline just with so many points for that game against Seattle
Yeah.
that they just played, just so I could have something to talk about. So,
It's
but
hard, man. It's hard. When I ventured down into the audio in the slot, I tried to venture off and do my own podcast and like just a solo show. And it's a lot easier said than done. Like it makes you appreciate guys like Jim Rome who do a live show on respect for those kind of guys for sure.
yeah, absolutely. And the one that I really like to listen to is Jeff Merrick, and
Hmm.
he'll bring guests onto his show, and that and he's always got great guests coming onto that show there on Sportsnet Radio. But yeah, he's a guy that can just continue to talk as well, and yeah, have things to talk about and everything like that. Which I mean, lately in the hockey world, there has been a lot to talk about,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, just the way that he's able to do it, man. Like I was even telling Carter, because he had to do an episode a couple of weeks ago on his own because I was being a selfish son of a bitch and I went to celebrate my birthday. And I was saying to him though, I was like, man, like you did it way better than I think I could. So props to you.
Yeah, it's
But
tough.
yeah, one thing quick though, before we get into some Calgary Flames talk. Once again, they're going to be playing the Anaheim Ducks on Wednesday. That game's going to be at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. You are the play-by-play for the Drumheller Dragons, the Alberta Junior Hockey League's or one of their teams.
Mhm.
I've never asked you actually, how did you get that job, and how long have you been doing that? Because you've been doing it as long as I've known you.
Yeah, this is my second year doing it for the Dragons. Last year, it was kind of an interesting situation. One of my really good friends is the business manager for the team. Whenever I tell people that, it's not so flattering because it's like I had an in, right? But
Yeah.
it was funny. It kind of came up. It was during the obviously COVID was a big thing last season across I mean everywhere. It's still a big thing, but in the AJHL, it was part of their return to play program. They started the year, it got shut down, and then they did cohorts where they were going to divvy up and divide the divisions up and play teams within those cohorts. Um, and they were only doing home broadcasts. So the way that Drum does it is they were up until this season, they did simulcast on Real Country 910 and Drumheller and on Hockey TV. The Dragons wanted to kind of part ways with that, so they had just a designated radio team, and they were going to have a designated hockey TV team. So with that, the opportunity came up that there was a position for color, which is what I started doing last year. And basically, Connor, their hockey or their business manager guy, excuse me, was he reached out to me and he said, "Hey, I know you do podcasting and I know you got the YouTube channel and I know that this is something that obviously you wanted to kind of venture into. Is it something you'd be interested in?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, of course, but I've never done it before, so it's going to be a little bit of a new venture, like diving in head first." And so he said, "Hey, okay, sounds good. Send us a demo tape." And I'm like, "The fuck? What do you mean send you a demo tape? How do you want me to do a demo tape?" So I literally went into YouTube and found just like random people's like NHL 21 gameplay footage
Mhm.
on broadcast, like on the broadcast settings, so you could see it like it's an actual broadcast. And so I downloaded it without watching it, just to try to like to make it more authentic without like any kind of practice. And so I downloaded that, put it into a program where I could do voiceover, and just did recorded only play by play first, but leaving pauses for color. So I did that for a period's worth of footage, and then I rendered that out, put that back into the voiceover program, and then did the color. So I was the play-by-play and the color. So because I wasn't sure at that time if I wanted to do if I was going to be doing color or play-by-play. So I sent that off to them, and they were like, "Okay, perfect, sounds good. Show up at the rink at this time, and like basically throw you to the wolves." And it was at that point where I found out interested in doing the play-by-play for the just exclusively the hockey TV side of it. So that's kind of how that came into it, and it's been a lot of fun, man. I'm really enjoying it. It's a heck of a league. The AJHL is definitely not
Mhm.
a league you want to sleep on. Lots of really good talent comes out of there. We see Cale Makar was a product of the Brooks Bandits, and
Yeah, exactly.
currently Rieger Lorenz and Okotoks. I like keep pumping his tires up on Twitter and saying you need to remember this kid's name, because I will be damned if this guy doesn't make an impact in the NHL someday. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it was kind of just a different situation that kind of led to it, but it's been really good. I was actually on radio last night doing the color in Calgary, so it's fun to kind of fill in and go back to where you started doing color again. But it's been good.
Nice. Yeah, we were talking about the Okotoks Oilers there. The only Oilers team I think I'll ever cheer for. And
Yeah, I feel that.
it's always that inside track, right? That kind of that helps you out or that sort of thing. I even gotta give a shout out to Mike Gould, who he's the PA announcer there for the
Mhm.
Okotoks Oilers, and he messages me the one day. This was in like late October, and he's like, "Hey, what are you up to on this day?" And I'm like, "Oh, don't really have anything. Why?" And he's like, "Do you want to come up to Okotoks? We need a game day host." I was like, "All right, I've never done anything like this though, but sure, let's try it out." So it was yeah, it was really interesting. I got like strapped with the radio and everything like that. You got to like tell where you are, and like they have a very nice like Videotron like
One of
at
the
center
best
ice,
one of the
right?
best arenas in the AJ.
So got to like tell them where I am so that the camera can find me and everything like that. And of course, the first like intermission or like TV timeout game that I'm about to play with somebody, the microphone glitches and
No.
I'm just it's just me looking up at the board trying to explain something and nobody can hear me. And so they just cut and I'm like, son of a, so like we're looking at it and yeah, it's just a weird glitch. Like nobody could figure out what was happening, but suddenly it was working. And we're just like, all right, we'll go try it
Sweet.
again.
Take
So then,
two.
like, it was like the first time that everybody really heard me though, because we went back to that game later in the game. First time everybody heard me was myself on the ice. We were playing like this rolling tire challenge.
Yeah, yeah.
You had
They do that a lot,
like
yeah.
participants in the corners and they had to
Yeah.
roll like a truck tire to center ice, whoever got it closest. And so everybody's first impression of me was me talking into a microphone, talking to tires. No, 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 go that way. You want to go to center ice, not towards the boards. And I'm just looking stupid probably, but yeah, no,
It's
definitely
fun, man,
gotta,
and
yeah.
that's where you start though, right? Like that's just like that's where, and I'm not saying that anything's gonna drastically come from, my calling of games in the AJHL or, even you're in arena hosting, but like that's how you get your foot in the door, right? Like
Yeah, exactly.
that's that you get to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And even then, I'll give a shout out to Dylan and Isha at the Hockey Podcast Network as well for
Mhm.
even giving us this chance. We were 2 episodes into our own show. It was the shooting around show is what we called it, and was just supposed to be like kind of general hockey talk or that. And they're like, "Hey, we need somebody to cover the Ducks. Would you guys like to do it?" And it was Carter and I, and at the time a buddy of ours, Steven. So we're like, okay, Calgary fan, Edmonton fan, Colorado fan, covering the Ducks.
What could go
Sure.
wrong?
Why? Yeah, exactly. What could go wrong? Might as well. So, but I'm kind of having flashbacks to this though, because for that show I was the host of it, and it wasn't great. I'll tell you that much for free. But yeah, I'm just kind of having flashbacks to that a little bit. So, but yeah, they picked us up and they were just right away. They're like, we can see kind of the potential in you guys. So,
Good scouting
um,
department they have there.
yeah, apparently.
Similar to
But
us, we were with a network that shall not be named, and
yeah, nope, not gonna say anything.
Isha, same thing. He was like, "Yeah, we love what you guys are doing. We'd love to have you over. There's just no room." And then we got Valimaki, and Isha messaged us the next day. He's like, "Okay, you guys want to come on?" And we were like, "All right, sure." So a
Oh, and
big
they were,
shout out
and
to Isha and Dylan for sure.
yeah, and I knew they were really supportive when all of that shit
Oh,
was
big
going
time,
down, pretty much, and
big time.
yeah, and I even remember, like, I'm not trying to take credit for it by any means, but like you asking to call me or that. He's like, hey, like just like, hey, can I talk to you for a moment?
Yeah,
And I'm just
I
like,
called you the one
I'm
day.
like, shit, what's going on? Like, why do you need to call me? Yeah, sure, go ahead. And then you just kind of explain what was going on. And yeah, dude, you definitely didn't make a mistake. I don't think
Oh, for
joining
sure. No,
onto
man,
THPN. So
we've been having a blast, and this network is night and day difference to where we were before. And yeah, it was that call to you was more so just so we don't get ourselves back into a
make
similar
sure, yeah.
situation that we were in. Not that we didn't trust anybody, but it was definitely a bit of a shit show to say the least.
Yeah. And one more shout out to Dylan and Isha for I kind of realized as well that um I mean like I knew it, but just kind of realizing that you're not the only Flames podcast
Hmm.
on the network either. There's Blasty's
Three of
Corner
us,
as
yeah.
well as In the Dome. And we are still the official Anaheim Ducks podcast of the Hockey Podcast Network. So apparently we do that well of not saying that you guys don't think this is the wrong way.
I
But
was gonna
apparently
say,
we
what
do
is this
but
getting at here?
apparently we do well enough work that they don't want anybody else covering Anaheim. So but it's definitely fun to. I was at the mall yesterday, and just I like to go browse in Jersey City and that sort of thing. And I'm looking at the wall of the NHL jerseys, and the one worker comes up to me and, hey, like, can I like what do you like? Are you looking for something today? I'm like, no, just looking at all the jerseys that I'll eventually get. And we're talking. He's like, oh, who's your teams? And it's like, oh, Calgary and Anaheim. And I was like, yeah, I know it's a bit of an odd pairing. I was like, Calgary is the team I grew up with, and Anaheim I became a fan through work. And he's like, through work. And I was like, yeah, I cover the Ducks for the last 3 years now for THPN. And he's like, oh, that's sick. So it definitely gets some cool reactions though,
Oh,
being
for
like a
sure.
Southern Alberta kid who's covering Southern
Southern
California.
California,
So,
yeah, it's night and day
but
difference, but
yeah.
it's all good in the end.
Oh man, so we've been talking for like 15 minutes. We haven't even gotten into what I actually wanted to talk about yet.
This is
But
what
you know
happens
what?
anytime we're on
Oh
Barn
yeah,
Burner, anytime you and I talk, it's always like
we
it's
always
it's
just go off.
it's good though. It's good
Yeah, as long
conversation.
as as long as it's good conversation. So both the Calgary Flames and Anaheim Ducks are currently fighting for playoff positions. We are recording this on Sunday. The Calgary Flames are sitting second in the Pacific Division currently, especially right.
Yeah.
Calgary got hit hard with COVID in December there, where the team had to shut down, similar to Vancouver did last year.
Hmm.
And but if both our teams continue to do well, this is a matchup that could potentially happen at some point, or maybe even the first round if Calgary does decide to play into Daryl Sutter's system and just decide to go for first and stop losing games pretty much. Um, as a Flames fan and somebody who covers them, are the Anaheim Ducks a team that you want to face in the first round, and why or why not?
Historically, I think we talked about it a little bit before we hopped on. Historically, no. We go back to the Honda Center curse and all that good stuff. But the Ducks, especially the Ducks right now, I find them they're one of those teams that, on paper, obviously like they've got a lot of talent up and down the lineup. But when you look at the rest of the Pacific Division, obviously Vegas, Calgary, St. Louis is doing well. Edmonton,
Mhm.
who's knocking on the door too, right? Like if we look at the wild card standings right now, the Ducks hold that second spot, 49 games played, 55 points. Right behind them, 4 games in hand, are the Dallas Stars. They got 52 points. They're only 3 points back with 4 games in hand, and the Oilers sit 4 points back with 4 games in hand as well. But the thing about the Anaheim Ducks that scares me the most is they're a team that's going to outwork you every night. They earn every win that they get. It's very similar to kind of what we see with obviously different situations, but the way that Ottawa earns their wins too. Right? They're
Yes.
not the best. They're not the sexiest team on paper, but they're going to work hard and they're going to outwork you every single night. And the Calgary Flames saw that last year in the 9 meetings that they had. I can't even remember what the record was. I think they went 1-8 or
Yeah, it was
2-7. Like
not great for Calgary.
it was their performance was terrible against the Ottawa Senators last year, and that's kind of how I see the Anaheim Ducks earning their wins too. They're beating good teams. The best part about it too is I think, Nate, they're having fun doing it. They're a team that has a lot of young talent. That we talk about guys, and I will get into it. Trevor Zegras, Maxime Comtois is kind of coming around. Sonny Milano still young enough. Troy Terry having the year that he's having. This is just a fun team, and they're having fun. They're earning every win, and And basically, like, the way they're winning these games is how you win games in the playoffs too, right? This is, you got to battle hard and earn those wins, and that's how the Ducks have been winning games all year. So no, I don't think that I want to play the Ducks in the first round. Not saying that the Flames can't match that intensity. Obviously, the way they've been playing lately is pretty evident that they can take on just about anybody right now. But yeah, the Ducks are just one of those teams that, and the crazy, be overly thrilled. Could the Flames, fare well against them? Absolutely. But it's likewise with the Ducks. They can match that intensity and match that style of play as well. Like another thing to mention too, Daryl Sutter was he was a development or something to do with the Ducks there, right? Or
Yeah, I
not
believe
long
he
ago,
was
right?
one of the advisors
Or
to the
advisor or
coaching
something.
staff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
and they did
it's
try to bring him in before Dallas Eakins. I know that.
mhm.
But just that wasn't it. Apparently he even like 3 years ago he had his eyes set on Calgary and returned there. So
Oh yeah.
for as he said, he's got some unfinished business. So
Yeah, yeah. And
but
he's doing well with that so far, but
yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I think it would definitely be interesting a series between the Ducks and Flames. Just you talk about that history between the two, but these teams are nothing alike of what they used to be during those playoff series that they had before, right? Both these
mhm.
teams are so much more skilled and fast, and that's not to be a slight by any means. It's just the evolution of the game, right?
Right.
Um, you'll have different goaltenders in net at this point. The last time that Anaheim and Calgary played in the playoffs was it Jonas Hiller and Kari Ramo, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah,
as a
it sure
tandem,
was. I was
2015.
there for the nail in the coffin game when the Ducks ended up sealing the deal in that series.
And but now you got Jacob Markstrom, who is just absolutely on fire this year. He's currently has 8 shutouts, leading that category by 4. I believe is
Mhm.
Jack Campbell, and he's tied with somebody else as well. Yeah,
Saros?
Saros,
I
right?
think it's UC Saros.
Yeah. So yeah, Markstrom is just on another level, and he's found his groove in a Daryl Sutter system as well.
Mhm.
That's very defensive, I find.
Yeah.
But on the other hand as well, you don't have you have John Gibson, who's really in his prime at this point, which is crazy to say considering he's been in the league for so long. You think he's almost on the way out, but the guy's only like 27 or something like that. So he is just rolling right now. And he shows it nearly every game. And I say nearly because I just talked about how the last game against Seattle was not his best by any means. And
Mhm.
honestly, I think one of the worst performances I've seen from him in like the few years that I've been covering this team. So, but yeah, and then you have all that offensive talent up front. You guys with that first line of Kachuk, Lindholm, and Gaudreau,
Best
which
line in hockey. Like, I'm not
oh,
even trying to be a homer. Best line in hockey right now.
it is very good. And then you go to Anaheim, where you could have a combination of Henrique, Getzlaf, and Terry, which is not a line that you would think would, like on paper, would maybe be as effective as they are. You have an aging Ryan Getzlaf, a young guy in Troy Terry, and Adam Henrique, who had fallen off last year to the point that he had been sent down. But then once he came back, he just lit it up. So, but that whole line has been going off. And then, of course, when you have the pairing of Milano and Zegras on that second line as well, right? It's kind of that 1-2 hit. Um, what are your expectations for this Flames team? We'll kind of break it up here. We'll go up until the trade deadline, which
Mhm.
is the start of March, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken, or
I think we're
middle of
just
March.
we're just shy of 5 weeks, or sorry, just shy of a month out.
Okay.
Because it's the 20th, I believe. Is that what you said? March 20th? Something
I
like that.
think
I
something
think
like
we're
that. Yeah.
just shy of a month, or just over a month away from the trade deadline.
So, what are your expectations for this Calgary Flames team until the deadline, and then past the deadline, we'll say going to the playoffs?
Well, look, it's not going to be an easy ride. I think that up until their return this past week or the week before, either way, they have to play 40 games. Or sorry, it was just before the or after the All-Star break, it was 40 games in 80 nights.
Ooh.
So it's going to be a lot of hockey down the stretch here for the Calgary Flames. Not a lot of rest. But you know what? They've been playing back-to-backs this week. They've been playing obviously Markstrom started every one of those games. They've won 6 in a row, referencing '04 and kind of like how nobody expected them to go on a run. I think going into this year it was fair with some of the signings and some of the people that they brought in personnel wise, that the Flames weren't going to be as competitive as they have been in recent years. So it's it's interesting up until if you asked me at the beginning of the year, I think a lot of the conversation was around, what are we going to do with Gaudreau? What are we going to do with Tkachuk? Both expiring deals, Tkachuk and RFA. Johnny going to hit the open market. And that was kind of like the biggest talking point. At this point now, it's like, what can we do to build around and get some more secondary scoring? Because this team, like, legit could go on a bit of a run here. So compared to the start of the season and where we sit now, it's different, but there's it's still just as much hype because we're still talking about the Gaudreau and Tkachuk conversation, but now it's like, how can we build more and kind of go out into the rental market? Because obviously the Flames are going to have to go out and get a rental. I don't think they're going to get anybody with term unless it's Tyler Toffoli, because they are going to have to inevitably re-sign 88, 13, 19, and 58, right? So there's a handful of guys that are going to need new deals. But yeah, it's interesting, man. The conversation's everywhere right now. It's from what are we going to do next season? What are we going to do with 13 and 19? And again, what are we going to do with the deadline? But yeah, it's you know it as well as I do. You're kind of part of the whole market as well and fan base. It's kind of all over the place.
I do have one question for you here. Johnny Gaudreau currently with 58 points, 19 goals, and 39 assists in it doesn't have the games played here. I thought it did. If Johnny Gaudreau does not re-sign in Calgary, do you think that slams the window shut on the Calgary Flames, or do you think they'd be able to recover from that fairly quickly?
I would say 13. Like, Gaudreau is the he's the end all be all. Like, you must protect at all costs, and Brad has historically been pretty well, or done pretty well in contract negotiations with players, which obviously he's drafted well. He's good at that side of it. Yeah, if Johnny Gaudreau walks, man, I don't want to say it's like completely slammed shut, but given the track record and history of Brad Treliving, if Gaudreau walks, I think that the window is all but closed, because I think that if Gaudreau does walk, it's all but confirmed that Matthew Tkachuk, who's going to be probably I think a year, he might even be an RFA at the end of, or a UFA at the end of that year, if I can bring up their cap friendly. But I don't want to say, like, it's always tough to look into the future that far ahead and say that the window would be completely shut. However, it would be a fair assumption that it's going to be pretty difficult to do anything to kind of recoup after losing someone who's on pace this year for 104 points. At that point, if Tkachuk signs his QO, the Monahan money, assuming he stays, will be off the books. Backlund will be in his last year of his deal. Lucic's deal will be up. Lindholm will have one more year at 4.85. So I don't want to say it's completely shut. Like, you still got good pieces there, and assuming that they bring Mangiapane back at a decent cap hit, the window won't be completely shut, and Brad will be left with some money to kind of go out and maybe spend in free agency. Again, we're looking far out ahead here, but I don't want to say it's completely shut, but it's definitely, it hinders your chances. I'll leave it at that. It's not going to be completely shut, but definitely not promising, because I think it's, honestly, it's got to be, you want to keep 13 at all costs.
Yeah, and how I'm kind of understanding it as well is that Flames fans definitely don't want to lose Gaudreau or go into that free agency thing, especially with the track record of Flames GM Brad Treliving and his free agent signings in the past. He's done well, maybe a bit more recently, say with Jacob Markstrom and Brandon Tanev, Chris Tanev. You guys bringing them in here. I got Brandon Tanev on the head because I just did a wallpaper for a friend who's a massive Tanev fan, and
there you go.
She specifically wanted that, like, his picture from this year of, like, with the eyes wide open and everything like that with the big smile. Yeah, that one exactly. So I got Brandon on the mind right now, but you look a little bit farther back into Brad Treliving's track record with free agency, and you got Troy Brouwer, you got James Neal. Those are some of the bigger ones, right? Troy Brouwer being bought out before going to play in Florida, and James Neal getting shopped to Edmonton, Calgary's biggest rival, not like a year after his deal was signed in that trade for Milan Lucic. So it'll definitely be interesting for sure. And obviously the Flames are going to have to be a team that Ducks have to watch just for playoff positioning and a potential first round matchup. So it'll definitely be it'll be interesting to see. However, I gotta say, if the Flames and the Ducks do meet up in the first round, I really hope that the Ducks decide not to wear their black jerseys for home and that they decide to wear the orange ones, because that is a great matchup, I think.
We're a little past this whole duck foot D logo. Let's go
I
back to
I
Mighty
do agree
Ducks.
100%. Yeah.
Let's go back to Mighty Ducks. You've been hinting at it. Let's just someone pull the trigger here and let's go. You're a Jersey guy. I know this, and I know how much
Yeah.
you like the Mighty Ducks too. So let's bite the bullet here, boys. Let's get on it.
Absolutely. One more thing I think I want to talk about quick about the Calgary Flames. It does pertain to the Anaheim Ducks here before we'll take a break.
Yep.
There was a small rumor for a little bit, and I think a lot of GMs are doing this, but this one just was, fascinating to me, that Brad Treliving was making calls apparently to the Anaheim Ducks on Ricard Raquel. If the Flames were to go for Ricard Raquel, we don't have to come to an actual deal or anything like that, as like you and I pretending to be Pat Verbeek and Brad Treliving. But
Yeah.
if you were to bring in Ricard Raquel, is there somebody else or a draft pick or something like that that you would want to go with? What do you think would be a fair trade in your opinion? It's probably going to be different from what Ducks fans think, obviously.
Yeah.
But what would you be looking for to bring in and to get out there?
Yeah, it's tough, hey, because he's 28, favorable cap hit. I mean, 3.789, right-handed shot. Some an area that the Flames could improve on. I think is definitely that right-handed shot. It's interesting because if you look at it, like the Ducks, they're competitive, right? You got to think realistically here. In a deal within your division where you're still a competitive team and you're sitting in the second wild card spot and there's a chance that you could make the playoffs. You really want to lose a Ricard Raquel, so you got to have something decent coming back. Brad probably called, but we all know how Brad is. We were close, but at the end of the day, nothing ended up happening. I'd say it's it's hard to say. Like what would you want? Like a defenseman? Like you want a young D man? Would a Juuso Välimäki would that bring Verbeek to the table and maybe start the conversation around Välimäki plus?
I feel like that could be a good start, just because the Ducks aren't really sure with Hampus Lindholm. We both have a Lindholm on either team. Just with him having an expiring contract here as well, right? You got to be careful on that back end. Both him and it's definitely a smaller number here, but Greg Patterson, just more of a depth guy. But you're definitely starting to question your defense maybe a little bit there, just with that Hampus Lindholm one especially. There's also Benoit as well, is going to be an RFA. So, but he's a young
Josh
guy.
Manson
we'll
too he's on IR right now, but he's an expiring deal right.
Yes, you are correct. Yeah, I had to scroll down a little bit there. So he's currently carrying a cap hit of $4.1 million at 30 years old. So
you bring in a 23-year-old Juuso Välimäki who, like I look at it as a Flames guy, as if Välimäki gets moved, this is just going to be a typical like Sam Bennett situation. This guy's going to get his, it was never going to happen in Calgary moment and turn into a friggin' Norris candidate, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, this guy has NHL experience. He hasn't under this system. We know the coach in Calgary has been hard on him. Mitch Love, head coach of the Stockton Heat, has been singing the praises about him since joining their team. I believe he's got 7 points in 11 games down in Stockton, something along those lines. And he's under team control, right? He's I don't know. Like, is that enough to like start the conversation? Is it a Juuso Välimäki? Is it because the Flames could give up a Välimäki and we still have a Connor Mackey to kind of come in, and if you're still wanting to keep some young defensemen around, is it Välimäki that starts the conversation? Is it Välimäki plus? Is it Välimäki plus conditional picks? Like, is it a third that turns into a second, or a second that turns into a first? Like, I just don't think that the Flames would want to go big fish spending on a Ricard Raquel when they've been linked to so many other names too. So like, you probably don't want to throw a second that turns into a first if the Flames, re-sign or win a couple playoff rounds, because you could probably use that second that turns into a first, or hell, even just that first in like a Toffoli or a Pavelski. I don't know. What do you think? Like, what kind of
contract situation looks like, because obviously you are taking Rickard Rakell off the books. You'd probably be looking at free agency to fill something like that there. But you do also have some upcoming contracts, some RFA guys. You got Sonny Milano, Sam Steele, Isaac Lundestrom, who's been doing great on that third line, actually. Even, carrying the Ducks as much as he could against Seattle there on, what was that, Friday night.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan Getzlaff is potentially coming off the books as well. We'll see if he does re-sign, though. It'll probably be, just kind of that 1 year at a time until he feels like he's done. So there's kind of been talks maybe both ways of he's not sure, that sort of thing. But yeah, I feel like it would be Valimaki and Picks to start, and then they would kind of go from there. So
I think the best part about starting the conversation with Valimaki, like I mentioned, 23 years old, $1.55 million cap hit this year and next, and still under team control in 23-24 when he's an RFA. So, do you take a flyer on a guy who just needs a fresh start? We know that Yusuf Valimaki has upside and has potential. Like, he just hasn't been given the opportunity. Like, would you? I don't know. What it's a tough one.
I would agree on that. Valimaki is a guy
because
who should have some more ice time, I think, from what I've
tough
seen.
too because it's not realistic. I don't think that this is something that could happen, but it's a great conversation, right? Within division, I just don't see it happening, especially given the Ducks are, the Ducks could make some noise here in the second half of the season and contend for a playoff spot. So, trading within the division and getting rid of, kind of helping a counterpart within your same division, it's not likely, right? So I don't know. It's tough. It's a good conversation, but I think it's got to start with a Valimaki. I mean, I'm just trying to see, like, looking back at Cap Friendly again, what does the left side look like? Fowler, Lindholm, Simone Benoit, right? And then what? Josh Mahura?
Yeah, Josh Mahura, Kevin Shattenkirk.
Just specifically the left side, though. Like,
and Jamie Drysdale, yeah.
Yeah, could a Valimaki come in and get minutes right away? Is he playing in the A? Like, I don't know. It's interesting. It's an interesting conversation, but I think it starts with like a Valimaki kind of prospect, or I don't want to say like Dylan Dubé, but maybe like a Dylan Dubé. But then, like, what do you're just like kind of improving from Dubé if you're, I don't know. I think it's got to start with like Valimaki. I think that makes the most sense. I don't know about you.
Do you think he's a guy that could be Norris potential if he was given the chance?
I don't know if he's got the ceiling to be Norris potential. We saw it like this past off season. He was playing in Finland. I can't remember. When we talked to him, he was he had just returned from Finland. He was just getting settled into Calgary when he was on our show. And he lit it up. He was a boy amongst men. He lit it up over there. And it was, gave Flames fans a lot of thought that this guy was going to contend, but then good to see that
at least it's tasty popcorn. At least
it is good popcorn. Dome popcorn is so good. Oh, but at least he's getting ice time now with Stockton, and he's not sitting on his ass in the press box. But yeah, I mean, I could he be Norris? Like, I don't know if he's like a top 3 Norris guy. He could be a guy that I think he might have the upside to earn votes, but I don't think he's, but given the Flames track record, like, look at the Bennett trade, and I know that he was never going to be that here, but now he's scoring at a ridiculous rate. So I don't know. It's interesting. I think the Valimaki could, he's definitely got the upside and the potential and the ceiling, but I just don't know if it's a small sample size too, right? We haven't seen him in a lot of NHL action, and when we have, we've seen him look really good. We've seen him make some questionable decisions, and the problem with the questionable decisions is that it inevitably led him to less and less ice time because the head coach got less and less comfortable playing him. So I think under the right system, like, I feel like Dallas Aikens is the guy to take to bring that potential out in Yusuf Valimaki. So I think that would make the most sense if he was looking, if we were looking for a Raquel and we were trying to find something to go back the other way. I think it just makes the most sense. I don't know. It's like a kind of like a perfect fit almost.
Yeah.
For the player. I don't know about the team. For the player, for sure, just a good fit.
Yeah. We talk about Valimaki and, how he, maybe just doesn't have the best chance in Calgary, just whether it be coaching or whatnot, just not really in favor of him to as a potential trade to Anaheim. And I
Mhm.
thought of another situation that was kind of similar. It was a player in the Calgary Flames organization that it didn't look like it would maybe pan out. Hey, we'll trade with the Anaheim Mighty Ducks at the time. You guys in return got a 2000 second round pick, which was number 43, Matt Pettinger. And the Anaheim Ducks received J.S. Shiger, who would help us go to the Stanley Cup final in 2003 and win that cup in 2007. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing history repeat itself with another player. So.
Yeah, historically, when we give people to the Anaheim Ducks, it just always pans out for the team and the players. So
Yeah,
maybe we
exactly.
pick another, like you can have, I don't know, you could take Nikita Zadorov or something. And
No thanks. You
seem
know my
like
feelings on my feelings on Zadorov. Even if he's doing better, I'm still not a fan of him.
No
All right.
doubt, no doubt.
I think we're going to take a quick break here. On the other side, we're going to talk about some All-Star Weekend and play a little bit of a game with our hosts. So we will be back in just a moment.
Do you want a true champion's perspective? Well, come on over to the Bolts broadcast, where we talk about the Tampa Bay Lightning, have some friendly banter, and of course, hockey name of the day.
If you pronounce it, you can get it.
Anthony Nunschwander.
You didn't pronounce it right. That's all. Anthony
Nunschwander.
It's N-E-U-E-N. It's Neuenschwander. Anthony Neuenschwander.
Dude, I always slept in German class, so I don't know how you expected me to put that together. Come on.
You only took it for 4 years.
I took it for 2.
Took it for 2 years? Oh no, J-Do took it that long.
I took it for 2 years and was like asleep in all of German too.
Oh, you only took it in junior high. You didn't take it in high school at all.
No. Yeah, she sent us across the hallway, and it was like me and, I don't know, 5 other people, and all we did was just goof off because it was an empty room of just us while she was too busy yelling at you guys because you guys were a terrible class.
No, we were in terrible class. A couple people were terrible people. Not going to mention names, not going to call it anybody in this pod. It was
Chase
not
Crawshaw.
me. It was 100% not me.
Oh boy, I know a couple of those names, but yeah, it's a good point, Chase. We won't mention those here. New episodes every Monday, only on the Hockey Podcast Network.
So on one of our last episodes here, Carter and I were talking about the All-Star Weekend, and we got way more in-depth actually than we thought we would. It became like almost like 45 minutes just talking about the skills before we even got to the games themselves. I know you tuned in for the All-Star Weekend, the skills and the games. Just overall, what did you think of the weekend? It's the first one we've had in a couple of years.
Yeah, excuse me. I don't know. I have a very similar opinion to most when it comes to the NHL and its All-Star festivities. If I'm, I know a lot of Flames fans were upset that Jacob Markstrom wasn't there, but I kind of saw it as a good thing. He was suspension. I want to say, was it Marchand? I don't know if it was Marchand, but either way, Fleury, I think, was one of them as well. Or no, he ended up getting hurt. Either way, the rest, I think most players would, kind of want more. The All-Star game doesn't mean anything. You talk about guys at the end of their career, 3-time All-Star. Well, it's like, okay, yeah, but this guy was hurt and he was a replacement for him and this and that. So the All-Star game, I don't think means anything among pro sports. I don't think All-Star games mean much, except for when the MLB did it. And it was to determine home field advantage in the World Series. Which
do they
was
still do
cool.
that?
No, they took it out.
Okay.
Yeah, they took it out.
I'm trying to get into baseball more. So
they took it out.
I'm still learning some things.
Yeah, they took it out a couple years ago, but that was cool because, like, and I mean, the baseball All-Star game, whatever. People just pimp home runs. It is what it is. You don't really like you try as much as you do in any other given baseball game, right? It's not the most physically demanding sport by any stretch of the imagination. When you got guys like Bartolo Colon, 600 pounds, pitching, throwing 99-mile-an-hour fastballs. But I digress. Yeah, it was good. It was what it was. I don't want to say it was fun. Like it was what you'd expect from an NHL All-Star game. It's the same thing year after year. It doesn't really do it for me. I tune in just to see, things like Trevor Zegras participating in the breakaway challenge. The 21 thing was kind of cool that they did at the fountain there. But aside from that, the actual All-Star game, just absolutely boring. Bores me to tears. the guy, the team wins $1 million in a new car. It's the same old song and dance year after year. It was what it was. I'll just call it a spade here. It was an all-star game. It was, the only thing that was on TV that I was watching because there were no other hockey games on. So it's and funny enough, I only watched the highlights of the skills comp just because I was calling a game in Drum that night. But the highlights apparently was all I needed to see. So I caught the highlights and watched the whole All-Star game.
When you do tune in for these skills competitions, is there one in particular that you enjoy watching?
I like the breakaway challenge. I've always liked the creativity of it, guys
Yeah.
taking off their jerseys and there's something on underneath, or when Patrick Kane did the Superman thing, and the one, I can't remember who picked up the kid and then they did the breakaway, and then Voracek went and grabbed Gaudreau and they did the same thing like that.
Yeah.
Those are funny. Those are cool. That's about the most excited I'll get. The show was good. I think the show was, I don't know, I'm a big MGK guy. I think he's awesome.
Mhm.
I thought the show was great. A lot of people were indifferent. I tweeted out how I thought the show went, and everybody kind of lit my ass up in the replies and the quote tweets. But yeah, it was all right. The breakaway is what I look forward to the most. And I like Fastest Skater just to see, because it's not the same year after year. Like, hardest shot was almost always Zdeno Chara's for the longest time. Al McInnes won it a boatload of times. Started from a stop. That's when they started from the blue line.
There was the whole
started
controversy of
recording them.
that he had the running start on, or the the head start kind of on it. Yeah, not from the start, or from the standstill. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the Fastest Skater's good, breakaway challenge is good, and then the rest is kind of just meh.
There, yeah. No, I was really glad that they brought back the breakaway challenge, because it was fun to see players' creativity and stuff like that. And yeah, like I think back to Patrick Kane in the Superman ones, what he had his two attempts where he flew along the ice and threw the puck in.
Batted,
the other one, he had the puck that exploded into like 5 pieces once he took the slap shot and that kind of thing. And or even Corey Perry, when he was still with the Ducks, he stops at the top of the circles and he pulls out a mini stick from his pants and dangles in and stuff like that. And I think one of the more kind of pictures from those breakaway challenges was Brian Elliott pulling out his phone when he was with St. Louis, turning around and taking a selfie before he came in to shoot. So yeah, the breakaway challenge was always fun to me. And
yeah,
I really enjoyed this year seeing the creativity, especially of some of the younger guys, right? You have, we'll get into Zegras, obviously, but if there was another one that had to be close to it, it would have been Jack Hughes and his whole magician act with the mini jack.
Yeah,
I thought that was cool. Brilliant. So
that was so cool. Yeah.
I still don't think Pietrangelo, again,
Dude,
I understand that this doesn't mean anything.
I know,
totally
but that's
get it.
The worst part about it, it doesn't mean shit, and they still just they still make it a joke. Like, Pietrangelo didn't even hit the goddamn net.
With both attempts.
Yeah, he missed the net, and it was just boring as shit. And he ends up winning. I don't know. It's a joke, man. It's just a joke.
There were rumors that they were trying to bring Jack Eichel out to be part of that, to kind of have the first reveal of Eichel in full Golden Knights gear and that sort of thing to help Pietrangelo out, which I think that could have been cool. That could have added to it, but we all know in our hearts that it was either Hughes or Zegras that won. If you had to pick between those two, who do you think wins it?
Zegras.
Zegras?
Oh, Zegras without a question.
Beautiful. Love to hear it.
You know how hard that is?
Not pandering to the crowd at all.
You know how hard that? No, and it's not even it's not even me bullshitting you. Like, dude, you know how freaking hard that is? Like, I can hardly get the puck up on my stick like that when I'm on the ice, like in beer league. This guy did it blindfolded, kept the puck on his stick the entire time. It did not touch the ice.
Well, mascots were throwing dodgeballs at him too.
Yeah, it was unreal, and he still did. Oh my god,
my favorite part was looking at the camera angle behind the mascots that were throwing the balls, and you see Wild Wing, who was part of it as well, the Anaheim Ducks mascot, throwing his ball, but instead of throwing it at Zegras, he throws it at who was the special guest goalie for that? Renault.
Oh, yeah.
He throws it at her instead. I saw that after. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Wild Wings got the priorities straight here.
Yeah, no, and it's like, I don't know, like that Trevor Zegers, man, holy, is he ever fun to watch? And I'm glad they had him there. I was pushing for him to be last man in. Was he was available for last man in? No, or
No,
was he
he
not?
wasn't. It was Troy Terry who was
Oh
available for
fuck,
last man
that's
in.
right. That's right. Damn. Well,
So
I was pretty choked to see that he wasn't even invited, but then they kind of made right by bringing him there.
yeah,
But yeah, I don't know. It was unreal. Yeah, Trevor Zegras like by a mile wins the breakaway challenge with like without even any question.
Mhm.
Hughes was awesome, but if you look at pure skill for a skills competition, it is
Yeah,
a skills competition after all, right? It's in the name,
yeah.
skills competition. You got to kind of have skill. Um, Zegras fucking mop the floors with them. Oh,
Love it. There was one clip. I'm not sure if you saw it even. That was they. I think is it on the Thursday or like earlier in the Friday. They have a mascots game
they do,
where
yeah.
like and Wild Wing was one of the goalies, and I'm not sure who the other goalie was and stuff like that. But it's always just funny seeing like the pictures of that because it reminds me of like threes on the NHL games, right? Where you can pretend like
Yeah,
where you can be the
except
mascots.
those guys can actually skate on
Yeah,
threes,
exactly. What I
not
was
like
gonna
Howler.
say, that's exactly where I was going with this. I'm like, man, if this doesn't sum up the Arizona Coyotes and the NHL as a whole, right? You throw a mascot out there, which you know what, you're when you get hired to be a mascot, I don't think they're normally expecting you to go out and skate. I
No.
totally get it. They're expecting you to like hop up on the glass and entertain the fans, right?
Yeah,
Like kind of
yeah.
in between plays. I totally get it. But man, just seeing that clip though of Howler kind of shuffling along the ice, I'm just like, oh man.
Yeah, it was hard. It was a hard watch, and you kind of put it perfectly. That just sums up the Arizona Coyotes season, and I
Yeah.
guess future to a T, seeing as they're going to be playing at ASU. But yeah,
We'll
it kind
we'll
of
see. I mean, they have the deal signed, but I honestly think if they don't get the Tempe deal done, then what's the point of being at ASU, right? There's not going to be anywhere to
staying
play
in
for them
Arizona.
after. So,
Point of staying in Arizona. Oh,
oh
Gary. The minute Gary Bettman is no longer GM, the commissioner of the NHL, the very next day the Yotes are going to announce the relocation because this man will do everything in his damn power to keep hockey in the desert, even though it's failed and failed and failed and failed. But this guy just loves the desert for some reason. Like it's a failed project, and he's just got to move on. That'll be my
yeah.
2 cents about the Arizona Coyotes.
It does make me feel bad for Atlanta hockey fans who,
Right?
they were just kind of put in shitty situations, but they got given two chances and it got taken away just as quickly, right?
Yeah.
Whereas, yeah, Arizona's been stuck there the whole time. Like and this isn't a slight, obviously, on the great one, but when you have to bring in Wayne Gretzky,
Yeah.
who has zero coaching experience, to try to bring people to your games and that sort of thing, right? Like you're kind of hitting a wall there already, and that was what 10 years ago at this point.
Bad.
Like,
Bad, bad,
yeah.
bad. Not
So
good.
the saving grace, and I've said this, when we've had Corey and Richie on, who
Mhm.
do the sporty show. I've just said it just on my own. The saving grace of the Arizona Coyotes is they brought back the Kachinas full time
Oh,
this year.
so
Absolutely
nice.
beautiful, but I still can't get my hands on one because they're just the jersey is that popular.
It's so
So
hard, dude. Oh my god.
yeah,
Yeah, they're impossible to find.
I'll get one eventually.
You
So
will. I believe in you.
yeah. All right. So yeah, the reason again that we have Audie on today is the Calgary Flames are going to be playing against your Anaheim Ducks on Wednesday. They'll be in Calgary. It's a 6:30 p.m. Pacific start. It'll definitely be an entertaining game. It's going to be one that I'm going to go through an existential crisis about. And it's been happening for the last 3 years. So I had to just prepare myself for it. I got some this isn't an advertisement, but I got some Budweisers in the fridge purely just for watching Flames home games, so I can
Yeah.
feel like I'm at the Saddle Dome, and it's not quite as hard hitting as dome foams, but I might have to have a couple just to relax myself before this game.
If you go like if you pour yourself a Bud, just pour it in a glass, go outside, grab some dirt, and just sprinkle a little bit in, mix it up. Make you feel like you're drinking a dome foam. Leave it out in the sun for a few hours, and then put it in the fridge. It gets fermented a little. There might be a little like film on the top. That's okay. You can just pick that off, throw it out, and then you got a dome foam.
Yeah, it's either that or you mix it with like a shot of vodka so that it really hits you.
Yeah, you mix it with a shot of vodka and
No, actually not vodka. You got to do Everclear because that shit hits hard.
Everclear, and then just like one of those 5-hour energies. Just dump it all in there, and you've got yourself dome foam concoction.
Oh man, we'll have to meet. We'll have to meet up at a Flames game again here soon because just to watch some hockey and
Absolutely.
definitely get some dome foams and some pocket dogs and that sort of thing.
Now that we can again.
Yeah, my diet's gonna be out the window the next time I go to a Flames game again. So all right, before we wrap up here, we're gonna do our What's Quacking segment. We don't have the sound effects for that this time because Carter's not here. He has everything on his keyboard, and I keep saying that I need a keyboard with these sound effects so that I can have some control of this stuff too, but we keep forgetting to do it. So instead of our usual What's Quacking, where we kind of pull something from the internet and have a joke about it or that sort of thing, I want to play a game with you, Audie.
Sure.
We're gonna play like just a word association game. So I'm gonna give you a person of the NHL, right? Player, executive, that sort of thing. You're gonna give me about like a Twitter post's worth, so like 2-3 sentences about this person, your thoughts on them. All right.
Okay.
We do have some Flames personnel in there. We have some Ducks personnel as well as just around the rest of the league. So I'm kind of curious with a few of these names. So
okay, let's hear it.
We'll give you a softie here to start. Johnny Gaudreau.
Oh, Johnny Gaudreau in a couple sentences. Damn, it's hard to sum up though. Yeah, soft one. Yeah, it's soft, but it's like it's difficult. Johnny Gaudreau is the catalyst and heartbeat of the Calgary Flames offensively, and recently is the entire package. That's what I would say in a quick. And the reason I say recently is because under this Daryl Sutter system, my God, is he ever defensively responsible now?
Yeah, he's been doing great.
Back checking, getting into the dirty areas. He's not throwing his body around, but I mean, I don't know why you would expect him to. He's a little guy. But,
I think he's my height, actually. Like,
yeah,
he's listed at 5'9", but I think it was it Sean Monahan who was like, I think that's a lie. He's like 5'7", so I'm like, yeah, that's my height. Let's go.
He's tiny, so yeah, I would say he's the catalyst and heartbeat of Flames offense. And until recently, I guess, is becoming more defensively responsible too.
All right, next one here, Corey Perry.
Very glad he is no longer an Anaheim Duck because now I can actually respect his game. Because Corey Perry was a fucking weasel for years and years and years in Anaheim, and now he just finds himself in cup finals year after year, and he's proving to be like, age hasn't really caught up to him yet, in the sense that he's still a very capable guy. So as he moves later in his career, I gain a little bit more respect for him because he's 1 year closer to retiring.
And 1 year removed, one more year.
And 1 year removed from Anaheim. Yeah, exactly.
All right. Next one, Brad Treliving.
Oh, Brad. Brad Treliving, what he lacks in ability to make any sort of good deal, he makes up for in his contract negotiations and drafting capabilities. I won't go too hard on him. What he lacks for in making a deal when it matters the most, he makes up for in becoming someone who can get those deals done when they need to be done, and has a very good scouting department that he relies on for his drafting.
Backhanded compliment. I love it.
I was going to say, if that's not the most backhanded way to tell someone that they're kind of shit but kind of good, that's the way. It's a textbook definition.
Oh. All right. Next one, John Gibson.
John Gibson. Yeah, I would say I've never disliked this guy. I'd say he's been pretty solid his entire career, and it's hard to find a reason to not like the guy. He's heavily relied on. He has been heavily relied on, and yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything bad to say about the guy. He's solid, and he's been solid his whole career. Just a reliable guy. Is that fair, you think?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Good. We'll go with it.
All right. All right, we're gonna start to stray now away from our two teams.
Okay.
We're gonna stay in the Pacific Division to start with, though.
Okay.
Connor McDavid.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to quote Steve Dangle because he said it best for Eric Carlson years and years and years and years ago. Connor McDavid, or the Edmonton Oilers, are wasting Connor McDavid's prime years like ripe
Yes.
fruit on a dead tree. And that's what Steve had to say about the Ottawa Senators and
Oh,
Eric
Dangle's
Carlson.
hilarious. I love him.
Yeah, so I will say
Oh.
that the Oilers are wasting the prime of McDavid's career like ripe fruit on a dead tree.
There's a picture going around from the All-Star weekend of McDavid and Machine Gun Kelly talking. And oh man, some of the memes that were coming out of
Oh,
that.
they're so good.
I think one of my favorites that I saw though was like, "Hey, I liked your outfit tonight. It reminded me of my house." Have you ever been outside the McDavid mansion before?
I've never been outside it, but I've seen like the pictures and people because I'm pretty sure that it overlooks like a walking path or like there's a trail not too far. That
Yeah,
you can
so
see
it
it
kind of
from.
dips into a quick coulee there.
Yeah, and people take pictures all the time.
Yeah, we were up in Edmonton in November there visiting some buddies, and we were driving to one place, and he's like, "Hey, we're gonna kind of be near the McDavid place if you want to go." I'm like, "Yeah, let's go check it out." So
Yeah, why
you know,
not?
we didn't get to see it in action, unfortunately, but we did get to see the heated driveway and the massive black house. It does look beautiful from the outside, though, I gotta say.
Yeah, for sure.
But
It's again, that's like a diamond in the rough because it's a very nice house in the city of Edmonton. So
yeah, exactly. Oh, all right. We're gonna head out east here for this one. Tom Wilson.
oh man. Oh man, Tom Wilson. Tom Wilson is the scum of the earth, but is such a good hockey player. He's a very good hockey player, but he's a fucking shitty person. Um, that's I think if I'm gonna sum it up in 2 or less sentences, he better be thankful he's got God-given talent. Because if he was anything, oh, he's just not a good guy. He's not a good guy. I don't respect him. I don't respect that guy whatsoever. I think he's a
Better.
dirty
Sorry, go ahead. Finish
no,
up.
just a dirty player and he'll never I don't think he'll ever gain my respect.
Better or worse than Sean Avery?
Oh fuck. Better.
Better.
Better. I can't there's a long list of people I despise and Sean Avery might be at the very top of that list. Just a fucking scumbag.
Oh, all right. Let's maybe one more person that
Okay.
I think we're kind of hitting the people that we all just might despise at this point. I'm just curious on your thoughts though. We're gonna head back out west to a rival of both of our teams as well in the Pacific Division, the LA Kings. Drew Dowdy.
Okay, this is not going to be what you think it's going to be from me.
All right.
Drew Dowdy is one of might be my favorite defenseman of all time.
Ooh, all right.
And the reason I'll give a little bit of a backstory. I'll just say for my 2 sentences or less, Drew Dowdy holds a soft spot in my heart and will forever be one of my favorites. I grew up in Guelph, Ontario, not in the United States, contrary to popular belief.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
don't know.
from the
I don't know why I had that in my head for so long. I
I
apologize
was
for that.
so no, don't be. I was like so confused. I'm sitting there, I'm like, is he fucking with me right now? Like, is he yanking my leg or something? And
No, I straight up thought that like you were born in Pittsburgh,
oh
and that's
no,
where like the Penguins came from, and then you'd move to Ontario, then move to Alberta.
no. I was born in Guelph, Ontario, home of the Storm, which coincidentally is where Drew Doughty played in the Ontario Hockey League. And being able to like it's sweet and being from Medicine Hat, you'd know the same thing. Being able to follow careers of players who play at that level in the WHL, or WHL, OHL, CHL, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
And follow their careers into the NHL, because as a kid, you watch them and you're like, damn, like these guys, they come to your school, they read you books, they like do things at your local library and stuff. And then it's like, damn, now this guy like has 2 Stanley Cups and he's like, it's like, damn, like I watched this guy from literally the beginning. And that's kind of where I stand with Drew Doughty as well.
Yeah, man. Like you could just name off. You mentioned the Tigers there with Medicine Hats, and man, like I was really little when I saw it, but like Jay Bomeister, go a little bit further. You got Darren Helm, you got Tyler Ennis.
I was gonna say Tyler Ennis and
Yeah,
oh God, who else?
got guys like that.
Because even
Emerson
Hannah,
Edom for a while, who
yeah.
played with Anaheim, which I wish I wish it had worked out there. So the guy had scored, it was 51 and 50 the one season in the WHL. And it was funny. Facebook will pop up with like, hey, you have memories from this day. And that was
Yeah.
that was just a couple days ago, actually, was me posting like, yeah, Emerson Needham with 51 and 50 now. So
That's crazy. Yeah,
but
I don't know. And Emerson Needham, I wish it would have panned out because I had a lot of his rookie cards.
yeah.
He was a guy that I was banking on having a good NHL career, and now they're sitting in my cabinet collecting dust because nobody will buy them.
Oh man. All right, we got one more here.
Sure.
We're gonna end it off on a high note.
I have a feeling I know who it is
Okay, give me your guess.
because I'm just following the trend. Is it gonna be Brad Marchand?
No, it's
Oh,
not.
okay, go ahead.
We're gonna go with an executive for
Oh,
this
okay.
last one here. Gary Bettman.
Oh God.
I
Well,
think that almost sums it up right there.
Gary Bettman. Okay, I don't want to be too critical because I don't think he's all bad. Gary Bettman has done a lot of things to grow the game of hockey in places where we didn't think it would succeed, but in the same breath, will not relinquish or make right in a market where it is struggling and has failed for years, thus kind of proving his incompetence, if that makes sense. Vegas was like, not many people thought it was going to be a great market, but then at the same time, you've got
I was
tourism,
one of
you got
them.
yeah, and same with me. You've got, but then you think about it, it's like, okay, it's Vegas. There's always people there. There's so much traffic. So many attractions. This just adds to an already super rich like tourist city.
Mhm.
Arizona, on the other hand,
You got
hasn't.
snowbirds. That's about it.
It's it. Snowbirds or people that like I'm planning a bachelor party for a buddy who we want to go golfing down there. Like that's it. You just go down there to hang out and play golf, and then it's like you got ASU and stuff like that, but just failing. So that kind of just more and more proves his incompetence, I think, as a commissioner in this league. He's been doing it for too long too. Like, get the fuck out of
Yeah,
here,
that is fair.
please.
It has been a long time. What was it? 1993 was when he was introduced as the commissioner of
Yep.
the NHL. Before that, it wasn't even a commissioner; it was a president, and I
Yeah.
forget the name of
I
who it
forget
was.
too.
But so,
I can't remember.
but I think he was like a year into it, a year into it, and they already had their first half season lockout there with the 94-95 season, if I'm not mistaken. So.
Yeah,
But
it's
right away, just a sign of things to come, I think. So
it was Gil Stein in
Gil
92,
Stein, right?
93, and then prior to that was John Ziegler from
Yeah.
77 to 92. So Gil Stein did it for a year, and then they
Okay.
said, you know what, this Gary Bettman guy.
And he came over from the NBA, if I'm not mistaken.
Fairly
I think he was like the assistant commissioner or
did.
something like that, or yeah,
something like that.
he had like Bill Daley's position, I think, in the NBA. But
Yeah, it was like a deputy commissioner kind of thing.
yeah, so. All right. Well, I think that's the episode for us. Thank you again, Audie, for joining me today. It was so much fun to chat with you and chat just general hockey and Flames and Ducks and all that kind of stuff. Let everybody know where to find you, where to find the show, and
Yeah, of course. Well, obviously on the same network, the Hockey Podcast Network, the Barn Burner Hockey Podcast. You can find us where we put out a weekly show, just kind of geared around the Calgary Flames and other news in the NHL. You can find me on Twitter at Audie James, AUDDIE James, and then you can find me on the home broadcasts if you are subscribed to Hockey TV for the Drumheller Dragons and the occasional fill-in on Real Country 910 and Drumheller. And a new venture that I'll be starting next week as a contributor to Locked On Flames over on the Locked On Network with Jess Belmosto. So,
awesome,
another venture that I'll be going down as well. So, just that one's new. So, I'll be not many people know that yet, but that'll be starting next week once I'm onboarded with them. So I'll be double dipping in the hockey or the hockey networks in terms of podcasting. So looking forward to that one too. But the Barn Burner's not going anywhere. I'm still we're still doing our regular thing, just a weekly hit with Jess once a week because it is a daily show that she runs over there. So I'll be just doing a weekly kind of check in with her.
Man, Jess is awesome. It'll be so cool to see you two work together. So
yeah, it'll be great. I'm looking forward to working with her. It's just a once a week hit, which is great because she still gets her show, which I wanted her to keep the whole time. I'm like, I don't want to step on any toes, but it will just be a weekly check-in where I'm kind of like a contributor co-host kind of thing. So it'll be fun. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. And even though he's not here, you guys can follow Carter on Twitter at Carter_Potts, POTTS_97. You can follow the show at Quack Report Pod on Twitter. Check us out on YouTube, like and subscribe, and same with our Twitch channels. You can find us on Instagram as well. You can find myself on Twitter at Tatenamas, TATENHOMAS. Again, be sure to like and subscribe. Give us a 5-star rating on whatever podcast platform you're looking at, and we will catch you all for the live stream on Wednesday, which will be following the game against the Calgary Flames. We'll see you guys next time.